intro here because we still don't have a starting soon screen, which means I can't really prep the boys. I've just got to say shut up and rock it. But my name's EveryWei. With me is Vinnie and Yulwei. How are we tonight, lad? How are we? How's our week been since the VCS ended? Gotten up to anything fun? Yeah. If you send me a link to a clip, I'll play it right now. Like during this episode. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. I'm very excited. Okay. Fair enough. That sounds like fun. What have you been up to, Vinny? Fair enough. I haven't watched much. I really haven't watched much League the last few days. I must admit, I've been slacking a little bit, which isn't great. Obviously, we want to keep up with our league. I co-streamed a couple LCS games with Opal. That's why I said I haven't been watching much League, because not much League was played. Considering one of the games was Dignitas vs Immortals. That wasn't League of Legends. That was, I think it was Dignitas. This is what I say. I think it was Dignitas vs Immortals. I mean, we mostly just talked shit. Yeah, yeah. No, I've been playing a lot of Valorant. I'm having a really good time with Valorant. It's a very fun game. Now that ranked's out, they're a little bit more fair. Even though I had a game today that was, I've had a game today that was the opposite of fair. Uh, Yeah, I mean, the thing is, at the moment, everyone's MMR is still a bit stuffy. So like, I'm in gold, right, which is not great. I'm not amazing at Valorant, but I'm in gold. All right, fine. And I normally play against golds and plats. Loaded into a game today, 2 bronzes on my team. You know it's going to be a toughie. They don't have any bronze on the team, but they have a few unranked, so it was fair, but it was like, you know, I got 31 kills. We won. So I had fun. I had a lot of fun, but I really don't think it was much fun for the enemy team where I could step out in front of 3 of them and it was like I was Neo from the Matrix, just dodging the bullets because they couldn't hit a spray. But anyway, go ahead. That's that's a friendship ender. That's a friendship ender. Wow. That's one of those well, you think you know a guy. But oh jeez. But anyway, if we're done with sort of just have funny stories and that, we'll get into what we normally talk about, which is of course the VCS. And so we have one big topic, and I think on the way it'll bring up lots of little topics. But the big topic we want to tackle is power ranking the VCS. Because I don't know about you guys, but the VCS games haven't been going the way I expected in the last 2 weeks. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been a couple of, like 1 or 2 upsets. For the prediction game. Oh, I'll open it up. Have a look. That's a lot better than mine. Yeah. It's shocking. Yeah, I got 2. I'm at the point where there have been people that have joined the competition after these 2 weeks, and I'm pretty sure they're going to overtake me in like... Because I'm on 7 points after 2 weeks. Yep, me too. Obviously. Clearly how that works. So, let's get cracking though. Do you want to start from the top or the bottom? Which one do you think we're going to argue more about? Do we want to go up the ladder or down the ladder? Yeah, Yes. What do you mean? What? Oh, for fuck's sake. Are you kidding me? Oh, no. Oh, my God. Can you talk?
Yes, hello.
For fuck's sake. I've had it on the wrong bloody output this whole time. You've been watching an insane man talk to himself.
Not much different than usual VCS broadcasts, to be honest.
I mean, true. I normally am not talking to myself then, at least. Still insane.
Yeah.
Well, getting
now,
cracking on anyway. You want to start?
We haven't really started the discussion too much, right? So.
No, we haven't talked about anything that really matters. Kind of been having a bit of a chat and getting into it. You want to start at the top or the bottom, lad? I'll leave it up to you.
Well, if we start at the top, we'll get one out of the way and only have to talk about 7 teams.
True.
Yeah, that's
so.
I think we all agree with the top spot. It has to be 𝘀.
Yes.
Go away, please.
I mean, it's EVOS, as we all know. We all said that EVOS was going to win the split. If you look at our big brain predictions, EVOS was the number 1 ranked team.
MVP.
They've lived up to that. They're 0-4, but that's just a normal start. No, I'm okay. It's Cerberus.
They're 0-3.
0-3. True. In all seriousness, it's Cerberus.
Cerberus hasn't even lost the game yet.
And they should have.
They
fucking should have.
True. 2 EVOS, to be fair. So there's some hope for EVOS still left. Cerberus, so let's briefly talk about Cerberus. I think it's very clear that everyone will rank them number 1. But I feel like Cerberus still needs to do a lot in the early game to get better. So far, I feel like they've mostly won through mid and late game and being just the better team fighting team. They know how to play their compositions. They are very good at all those aspects where when it comes to mid game, they know exactly what to play for, what to do on the map, which players to prioritize when it comes to farming, when it comes to focusing the enemy targets and team fights. So all these things are super crisp and well coached. I feel like this is really a big coaching effort coming in. But the early game has looked a little bit weak from time to time. Against EVOS, of course, the one game. 8k gold down, 10k gold down even.
Something like that.
So, yeah, I feel like they still have to work.
They won with a gold deficit, didn't they?
Yeah. They are still, on average, 650 gold up, which is pretty good. Considering they are the best late game team, being up in gold on average is very respectable. But yeah, that's the area where I want to see improvement. And if they can improve that area, I feel like they are actually a championship contender, for sure.
Yeah. If they get to this point where they don't have to fight their way out of holes, they should just pretty much be steamrolling at that point. Because
I don't think they've been fighting themselves out of massive holes.
Not often. Not
they
massive
did
ones
obviously
often, but they're
against
not.
Against EVOS they did, but looking at their other games,
and even against
that far.
Even against Secret, they were dug in pretty deep. Not as deep, but I mean, they had to fight their way out. So it's just as long if they clean up early game, yeah, they're set, right?
To be fair, most of their compositions are not really built to dominate early game, right? So it's understandable that they fall behind. If against Flash, game 1, they fell behind 1,400 gold. Game 2, let's look at that. I think they are
1,400 gold is nothing in the VCS.
Yeah,
like,
it's not much. It's not much.
I am going to argue that Cerberus is really far out in front of them, because I agree that they aren't necessarily the best mechanical team. They're definitely not. They don't have the best 5 players, right? I don't. In terms of micro mechanics, they're not the guys that are getting the solo kills. They're not going insane, right? They're not Dia1 last split.
Yeah.
They're not Zeros in his prime, that kind of shit. They're not bad by any means. Like, I think they are second or third best mechanically. It is mostly their calls in the mid and the late game that are carrying them. But I don't think they're that far behind. Yeah, and they're team fighting. I think their early games are fine. They could get better. It is the weakest part of their game. But
for sure.
But when you say a team in the VCS is getting behind at 15 minutes, that is normally 4 to 5k.
Yeah, it's true.
Because the VCS snowballs so much, but it's only it's like 2,000 gold. That's fine.
All it really means is they might have a stylistic mismatch against like GARM.
Yeah.
And we'll see that eventually, but.
And I would this might go over into my second place, but I feel like I really want to see Cerberus against Team Secret again, because they played in the very first game, of course, and Secret looked very bad with 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀𝘀 in.
Yeah.
So sadly
I think they play coded the rest of the split.
Oh no, I got that wrong. They didn't. Oh yeah, they played against Cerberus.
No, they played
second game. And I feel like this Team Secret is a very different team with Coated in. So far, they've won both of their series with Coated, and both 2-0. So they're actually 4-0. Yeah, they're 4-0 with Coated, and they have looked super strong to me. I rewatched their games, and their early game macro as well as some later macro calls to me looked also very well coached. And they might not be quite as good in team fighting as Cerberus is, but I feel like their early game is more solid. They play very good compositions too, so I would really like to see that matchup again. Sadly, it's out of the way, so we have to wait to week 5, I think, until we see that one. It's even week 6, so yeah. It's going to take a while until we see that matchup again. So right now, I feel like you have to rank Cerberus first, for sure. They are 6-0, so it's for sure. But yeah, I feel like this matchup could actually be very close, and Team Secret could take a game, or maybe even the series, if they play with their very, very strong early game coordination and get to a good lead.
Yep, I completely agree. So we all agree that Cerberus is rank 1. Do we Where do we diverge? Is it at 2? Who have we got at 2? Vinnie?
I've got Secret.
I've got Secret.
Yeah. So I
we
think
all agree.
Secret.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's just they had a bad first series because they tried 𝘁𝗀𝗃. Fair enough, try it out. Still don't understand that pickup, personally. Doesn't make sense to me, because stylistically, 𝘁𝗃𝗃 and 𝘁𝗃 are the same person. And Coated. Like, they're the same person.
It's a little different, right? Coated is a little bit more carry-oriented.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Coated is a bit different, but 𝘁𝗃𝗃 and 𝘁𝗃, pretty much the same. So why did you give up 𝘁𝗃, who you already had synergy with, for 𝘁𝗃𝗃? It didn't make sense.
Yeah, I think, of course, there's always other stuff we might think. It might be 𝘁𝗃 wanted to leave, not necessarily they let him go. So maybe it's a case of we want different champion strength. So like if we're uplanders, we really want a Poppy or something, we get 𝘁𝗃𝗃. If we really want an Irelia, we put 𝘁𝗃𝗃, or things like that. Yeah, I don't know. I think at this point it's like, oh well, we just play Coated unless he physically can't. So from here on out because
especially looking at top laners right now in the league, top lane might be our strongest role. A lot of top laners perform super well right now.
I feel like we're gonna say that a few times because we're gonna talk about roles later.
Yeah,
I feel like each of us might say this might be our strongest role on a different role.
Fair enough.
I think there are multiple stacked roles.
Okay, so top lane is a strong role. So
yeah, absolutely.
Let's not say strongest
yet.
I
didn't want to undercut you.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But they are very good top lane players right now, and with 𝘧𝗀 in, I feel like you just lose top lane too hard. Of course, he only played 2 games of Ornn, so maybe it's not super fair to 𝘧𝗀 to say he just loses every lane because Ornn usually it's not the greatest.
He got killing it, right?
He got giga fucked.
He got, that is absolutely fair.
Ornn loses lane in that he goes like 20 CS down, but you watch it and you're like, okay, this is fine.
He also just played a very bad Ornn in team fights.
He was
not only
awful.
his laning phase.
He was really
it wasn't good.
Absolutely. Yeah, but Coated for me looks very solid, and I think what he brings to the table, especially the counter picks we saw, where Jax was picked into Wukong, which I really like to see, because the way they also utilized the Jax later on was super smart, just pressuring bot side. He was also part of the one cool play I want to talk about more at the weekend. Okay. But yeah, the Jax came in, then he also played some other carry champs. The full zoo is there with Wukong and Volibear, of course, in the top lane. So I'm super happy with how Team Secret is looking. Also, very interesting stat, just to quickly touch on, their gold distribution. They have by far the highest gold distribution for the jungle, 20.8% gold. That is way higher than you normally see.
Massive, yeah.
Yeah, 4 games of Graves, 4 games of Ignite Graves. So I feel like they are the only team that is allowed to play Graves in my book, because they actually make it work. They give him a lot of.
Secret did play Flash Graves in the
Evos. They did. Okay, fair enough. But 4 games of Graves already.
But DNK's Graves is like really good. they really know how to make that pick work.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, obviously, we have the bit of the joke on our broadcast about how Graves is a terrible champion. He's terrible if you don't play to his strengths, right? There is a reason he's being picked in leagues all around the world. He is a strong champion if you play a Graves comp. And I think VCS teams have been taking a little while, and some teams haven't done it. They're like figuring out that if you pick a Graves, like, your jungler's not bringing CC. He's not bringing setup. He's just bringing damage. And I think Team Secret's actually realized that and picked setup elsewhere. Which is what you have to do. I like it.
The Grey Skins are good. I also quickly want to praise them for their drafts. This has been one reoccurring theme in the last 2 weeks, where we say, teams are not drafting against the enemy team. They are just drafting for themselves. Actually, not true for Secret. Especially last week, they had some very good counter drafts. There was game 2 against OPG, where OPG kind of drafted like we expect, where they just draft for themselves, and Team Secret reacts super well to that. They counter draft Orianna and Jax into Wukong and Ryze, so 2 counter matchups in lane and in team fights. And then Aphelios also, of course, Aphelios is super high pro anyway, but Aphelios against a comp that wants to dive into him, so what he really likes when he can stand still and uses chakram to kill everyone. So they outdrafted OPG big time in the second game. I feel like drafting is one of the things that also sets apart the top 2 from the rest of the teams, because Cerberus and Team Secret really understand how to counter draft, how to come up with different approaches, and actually not just follow the tier list, but also see, okay, the enemy team is going split push, or let's say Ryze, we have to control the space. Or they go Aphelios, okay, Orianna is nice here, because we control the area where they want to fight. That is something the top 2 teams do. No one else really does.
I kind of want to temper that a little bit in saying that it wasn't really Secret doing a good draft with the Aphelios and Graves, because they picked them first rotation. So they only saw a Wukong, and that gives you lots of time to pivot. But when OPG picks 𝘁cie Nautilus into Graves Aphelios, you've won draft. And that's that's OPG just drafting is like 𝘁cie when Ezreal was open. So I don't understand that pick at all.
Yeah, I mean, drafting is always
OPG fucked up.
Right? Drafting's always a two-way street. You can only judge them off the draft they got. And actually, I think particularly Cerberus. I know we've moved on to Team Secret, but I'm going to drag us back a little bit. But this is true of Team Secret as well. But I've noticed it particularly with Cerberus is they are sometimes doing the tier list. We're just going to pick what we want, and we don't really give a shit what you pick. If you let us have our comp, we're just going to do it sometimes. But and then other times they'll look at the enemy comp and go, okay, we actually need to counter this, and they can do both. And if you get you a team that can do both, you're looking good. You're looking real good.
Yeah, Cerberus seems to be draft for ourselves in the first phase, and then work on in the second phase, which is pretty much what you should be doing.
But it's good to see it. It's good to see it in the VCS. But so we're in agreement.
One closing comment before we move on. I just saw the shortest game of the split so far was Team Secret against OPG Game 1. And that game is super impressive if you watch it back, because Team Secret is actually behind like 2k gold in the mid game. And they are so clean when it comes to closing out this game. They see one opportunity, they fight OPG at the Dragon Pit, they get an advantageous fight, move back into like 1k gold deficit, just group mid, use Zoe to poke out everyone, get another kill or two or a pick in the mid lane, and just snowball into mid inhibitor, another push into Nexus at 22 minutes, after being behind for 60 minutes of the game. That was very, very impressive to see. And that's also something that good teams can do. Just flip a switch and immediately win the game from out of nowhere.
It's true. Recognizing your windows of opportunity is a super big thing. So, but unless you have anything more to say about Team Secret, I think we might start diverging soon. Who have we got third?
Third is so hard.
It is. I have %.
Okay, I also have %. I'm not great. I'm not just fanboying here.
But it's close with my fourth. I think my third and fourth are interchangeable.
I've
said % because I think they're slightly better. But I think if these two teams played 10 games, it probably goes by.
Yeah, I think it's like % I put at third because I'm sort of thinking it. Because it feels like to me, if YT is on form, and YT is the crucial, the linchpin. That's the word. If he's on form, I think they're like probably second actually. But when he's not, he's like really. Okay. When he's not, they're like 6th or 7th. So that's why it's sort of on third.
Before we keep going, who do you have?
Good when YT works.
You haven't answered the question your way. Who do you have third?
I really want to say Saigon Buffalo. I really want to say.
I don't think.
But I've written down % as well, but I'm really not sure about that. My 3 through 6 is very close, and I don't know. Flash it could be Flash as well. After next week.
I don't think he can be Flash after what we've. It could be after next week, but
after next week it might be Flash.
I think Flash has to be sick.
Yeah. So I have a few problems with
%. For the record.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a few problems with %. Firstly, the opponents they won against were Gum that just hard-inted. My god, did they play a bad game. And Flash in the first week who were just super bad. So their wins haven't been too impressive in terms of teams they've played against. They got absolutely wiped by SGB when they played against them. So % in terms of strength of opponents is not very high on my list, even though it's Gum and Flash. So, and then their in-game plays, I think they are very impressive in team fights. They are our second best team fight team, in my opinion. They know exactly what to do. They're super assertive and decisive when it comes to objectives. All of these aspects are good. But their early game, they are, in my opinion, they are basically Cerberus light, but with some very severe problems in the early game where they are always late to objectives. They almost always get out-rotated in the first swap to Herald, where they lose a lot of first objectives. So I definitely see potential in %, and I really like the team fighting. And once they get to 20-25 minutes, I like this team a lot. But the early game is pretty bad. So
I have one big thing. For me, I have one big thing. I want to bring it up because it's a quick point that makes me put percent third rather than fourth. I think percent has 2 modes, and I value that really highly. They have 𝘀cie carry us, and they bang him on a rise, they bang him on a carry, and he is good enough mechanically that he might just get them a big lead, and they can just ride his 𝘧𝘂 home. But they've also had games that they've won, and 𝘀cie's been quiet. He hasn't been bad in any games. I'm not saying he's been bad, but there have been games where 𝘀cie definitely didn't carry them. He was just along for the ride, and they've still won, and they've still looked cohesive. They don't look lost when 𝘀cie is just not the impact player. So I value that really highly, particularly for a young team.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, and as we sort of gave a bit of leeway to Team Secret in their first match with 𝘧𝘂, I kind of want to give a bit of leeway to their loss against Buffalo, because one, 𝘀cie𝗶𝗃𝗀 was in instead of Eagle, and they look a lot more coherent with Eagle. Yeah. And secondly, I don't know what 𝘁𝗏 was doing, what 𝘁𝗏 had that day, but those drafts were fucking garbage. There is nothing. 𝘁𝗏 couldn't win with those drafts. I don't think fucking top esports could win with those drafts. Because my god, they were bad. Actually, honestly, against Buffalo, top esports would probably still win.
Probably.
It's not a fucking esports.
What are you talking about? Buffalo is charging, boys. Top esports, more like bot esports. Buffalo's on the way.
So, honestly,
you know what the
like
Buffalo
those
do to top
bad.
international opponents? Hello, G2.
They use top international.
Oi.
That's true. Buffalo's never beaten Mad Lions.
That's true.
Buffalo's never beaten an LPL team.
Yep. Another slight problem I have, which so far hasn't really amounted to much, because 𝘀 entered mid-game too hard. But some of the players in laning phase and also Eagle on the jungle are not quite the highest caliber of players. Like, if you compare 𝘀's top lane and jungle to percent's top lane jungle, they got pretty hard outmatched there. 𝘀 really dominated top lane. 𝘁𝗏 got solo kill, had a massive advantage there. Eagle got outpathed by 𝘁𝑚 quite heavily, and then 𝘀 is just not a team after 15 minutes. But this might.
But that's where draft comes in, because you have Malphite and Volibear, and then top lane doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And I usually like percent's drafting, but like just projecting percent against the better opponents, in my opinion, the top 2, and even Saigon Buffalo, because they got wrecked by Saigon Buffalo. I don't really see how percent can ever win against Cerberus, for example. While I can definitely see, there are ways Saigon Buffalo can win against Cerberus, where they just hard smashes lane and everything else goes right. Froggy roams all the time. So I can see a world where that happens. I can't imagine a world where percent beats Cerberus.
I mean, I don't think Glory on Zoe.
Yeah, that's true. But I also
see a world, and it's mostly Glory on Zoe.
I don't think that's a fair knock to put percent lower than third, because I don't really see a world where they beat Cerberus. But we're also ranking Cerberus as the strongest team, and it's that's not. Fair. And it's just, and in my opinion, it's by a fair margin, and it's just a stylistic thing. Percent can't beat Cerberus because they just do what Cerberus does. They're just not quite as good at it. But what Cerberus does is really, really good.
Yeah, but so let me rephrase my point. I feel like percent has hit a very early ceiling.
Let me put it this way. I don't think I will ever rank them above third in a weekly powering.
Yeah.
I'm happy to say that this is the highest they will probably ever get.
And I definitely want to praise them for the first 2 weeks, because they've been way better than I expected them to be. 2-0 against Flash and 2-0 against 𝘀 was something I would have never thought they would start the season with. But for me, they look like the typical team that came in better prepared. They played a tournament before the season started. They probably scrimmed earlier, so they are just more coherent right now as a team. They know how to play together to win. But I feel like the longer the season goes, the more the individual deficiencies will show and percent will drop. Maybe not into 7th or 8th place, but 5th or 6th is probably where they end up for me. So I'm hesitant on that.
I don't see how they could possibly get to 8th when one team is playing with undone dishes in the top lane. Someone needs to go down there and just help 𝘀𝘀 get dried off because he's washed up. But we'll get
there. I mean, yeah, 𝘀𝘀, I think, because look at the difference between the cup 𝘁𝘀 tournament. That's it, and start a split. Fucking 𝘀𝘀.
He's not going to see play. I don't think he sees play.
Yeah, 𝘀𝘀 and 𝘁𝘀 was fucking shit. That was the worst fucking bot lane I've seen in a long time. But 𝘀𝘀
It is also worth noting that percent will almost certainly have a couple of 𝘁𝘀 games. They're gonna have a couple of games where 𝘁𝘀 tears them apart.
But they had one of those. It was their very first game, and Gloria carried that fucking game.
It is going to come down to there are going to be games where 𝘁𝘀 hardens because 𝘁𝘀 is like the stunt of VCS.
Oof.
Are we ready to move to 4th place? Because I feel like here's where the differences finally start to come in.
Here's where we disagree. Who do you? I'm guessing you have the Buffalo 4th.
Yes.
Yulwei. Who do you have 4th,
Yes.
Vinnie? Again, my 4th and 5th, like my 3, 4, 5 were very close. And then my 6, 7, 8.
I have 𝘀𝘀, and this is sort of a like me just sort of hedging a bet, I guess. So I will say 𝘀𝘀's looked worse than Buffalo has looked worse, but I think 𝘀𝘀 can probably turn it around a lot better.
I mean, so I have 𝘀𝘀 above Saigon Buffalo, but perhaps not a very analytical reason. But I'm the only non-analyst on this podcast. I am the only play-by-play caster here, so I live with my heart. I'm in here. You're up here. I'm here. And that's
so you're telling me you don't like 𝘁𝑚𝑒D, yeah?
No. It is to do with 𝘁𝑚𝑒D. It's to do with 𝘁𝑁𝑒D, but I really like 𝘁𝑁𝑒D. And if he has a game like he did on a 𝘁𝗶𝗁, where he looks like a top fucking player... Oh, my phone's ringing.
And they still lose.
Yeah, and they still lose. I just need to go answer this. I don't know who's calling me. I'll be right back. Continue your discussion. I'll be back.
All right.
Yeah. That's a good point. So, Saigon Buffalo, man, they are such a frustrating team to watch. I feel like they're 4th. If they win against 𝘀𝘀, they cement themselves as 4th place. It's the first. It's on Friday, the second match. I think it's our match of the week as well. The 2 best top laners facing off against each other. For me, Saigon Buffalo has showed a lot of promise, even in their loss to 𝘀PG, which is very bad because 𝘀PG to me is a very bad team. But there's so much potential in this team, and I'm not ready to close the book, I guess. I'm not ready to say they are bad when I see them 2-0%, who so far has looked super strong, right? They have 2-2-0 victories themselves against 𝘀𝘀 and 𝘁𝑎sh. And then Saigon Buffalo comes in and just smashes percent. There's not even a chance.
Yeah, so they come in and get
smashed by 𝘁𝑎sh.
Yeah,
They are so weird, so inconsistent.
I don't know the points you touched on. But yeah, my problem with the Buffalo is that that's good. I'm coming in with the same point. I think they're inconsistent. I think their only super consistent player at the moment is 𝘁𝑚𝑒D. I think the rest of their players have all had off games.
Hin as well.
Yeah, that's true. Hin's actually been really good.
Kin fan. Hin has actually been
fucking good.
He's actually quietly been really. You're right, but I think in terms of players that can actually hard carry you, 𝘁𝑚𝑒D has been great. The rest of the team has looked a little bit shaky at times. And there are going to be games where you stick 𝘁𝗲𝗺 on Ornn, and then everyone
Hopefully
else...
not. Please don't do that.
But they are doing that. They are. They've picked in Ornn. There's going to be games where they stick 𝘁𝗺𝗺 on
Just
tanks.
give me the coaching position for this team, please. I'll get you to World.
And then if that happens and you have off games in other roles, you're fucked.
Man. Yeah, Meliodas to me has looked quite questionable.
Yeah, I think he's looked pretty bad.
His pathing, his aggression is really over the top, where he gets caught so many times on his 𝘀cie, ADC, junglers. Yeah, Meliodas, he looked promising in Fire, but he's back to his very questionable form, so that's not great.
I mean,
the ADC also hasn't really shown up too much.
Yeah, I think we have to talk about 𝘀cie and 𝘀𝗏. Yep.
𝘀cie?
They have helped the team in terms of culture, but I'm still not convinced that 𝘀cie knows it's League of Legends, not Heroes of the Storm. You actually have to last hit the minions, 𝘀cie.
Yeah.
Just standing near them when they die isn't enough, 𝘀cie. You have to last hit them, because he doesn't. He is consistently... You look at a game where the Buffalo are smashing. You're like, they've won this game. It's fucking over. Why is the gold so close? What the hell is going on? Why is it only a 2K? Oh, it's because 𝘀cie's down 80 CS. He's like nearly getting Flame Horizon, and you're like, 𝘀cie, what the fuck? You've had lane priority all game. Like, you're winning. How are you this far down? And the problem is, you do that against some teams, and it loses you the game.
Yeah, 𝘀cie is like the extreme
style's
example
also
of
been
what...
super average.
Yeah, 𝘀cie's the extreme of what sort of the mid lane meta kind of became after last year, where it's all about your mid laner not being in lane. Unfortunately, 𝘀cie isn't finding the CS when he is in lanes, because like, I mean, 𝘀𝗏𝗆s is all the way out of lane, fucking Doingby's all the way out of fucking lane. So and he's like copying that sort of style, but he's not catching the CS when he actually is in lane. Which, I mean, you see players like 𝘁𝗏 are meant to be able to do. I don't actually know.
𝘁𝗏
Is 𝘁𝗏 doing that?
On his high points, I really like 𝘀cie. I feel like he has
playing bad. So.
𝘀cie is good.
I feel like he has very good sense of where to be on the map, and his team fighting is also quite strong, especially on Neeko. But yeah, I've just had a glimpse at his numbers in lane, and they are really bad.
It's abysmal. Like, and
again, 18.6 CS at 15, and the CS difference grows after that. Yeah. He's down almost 1,000 gold at 15 minutes to his lane opponent, and down in experience as well.
Winning. Like,
yeah.
The thing is like, don't get me wrong. I think adding 𝘀cie to this lineup was great, because I think the way he plays has freed up the Buffalo to play a different way. I think style at the moment, he's not great.
He needs to step up, especially if 𝘀cie continues this style.
Because at the moment, 𝘀cie isn't going to carry the game because he doesn't farm, which means he's like half an item down for no fucking reason every game. Style is not stepping up, so... And then what if 𝘁𝗁𝗺's carry champs get banned and he's on Ornn?
Yeah, and even in some of the games where 𝘁𝗁𝗺 is still hard carrying, as you mentioned with the 𝘁𝗁𝗺, all the other players are just not contributing much, and then you can't go 1v5.
That 𝘁𝗁𝗺 game, he was fucking dragging 4 corpses. He was out here playing like Metal Gear, trying to hide some soldier bodies.
I mean, the best way to look at it is Styles had Varus twice. Only AD carry to have Varus. He was kind of a non-factor in both games.
He played attack speed Varus twice.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I don't think I can rank Buffalo higher than 𝘀𝗀𝗆, while 2 of their carry roles are just bad.
Hinting it away, yeah.
Let's talk about 𝘀𝗀𝗆, because I have 𝘀𝗀𝗆 even lower than just 5th place. I have them 6th. I actually ranked Flash over 𝘀𝗀𝗆.
I don't understand how you can do that after the first 2 weeks.
So, okay, let's look at the results, okay?
Long term,
so
maybe, after the first 2 weeks, particularly week 1, Flash were not a fucking League of Legends team.
Okay, fair enough. Look at what Team Scum played against. EVOS and OPG, where they wins 2-1 against EVOS and OPG. The only team they actually lost the game to EVOS, the only team to do so far.
Cerberus should have lost a game to EVOS.
Fair, but they didn't. And they lost a game against OPG while getting stomped by %. They played against EVOS, %, and OPG. They didn't play against Cerberus. They didn't play against Flash. They didn't play against Saigon Buffalo yet. They didn't play against Team Secret. So all the projected better teams, they hadn't on their schedule so far. They played against OPG, the second to worst team, and EVOS, by far the worst team. And those were the 2 victories, and they weren't even clean. Against %, they looked absolutely outmatched in every aspect that was not laning phase. Yeah. They looked super bad when it came to objectives, objective contests. Their drafts were fucking garbage. Their drafts, they have absolutely no idea how to draft. GAM to me looks like the team that has good players, but they don't have any coaching stuff, which makes sense, of course, right? With the off-season stuff.
I 100% agree, but I also think it's early in the split and they can coast off that for these 2 weeks.
Maybe.
And I think they have been coasting off just having really good players. Because we live in a world where 𝘁cie exists. And 𝘁cie is a contender for best player in the league at the moment.
And so is 𝘁cie.
That's a contender. Yeah. That's a contender. We'll have a discussion about it later. But, I didn't say he is, but he's a contender for it. Levi can just do shit in the jungle that no one else can really fucking
And then he takes Kane and goes assassin. I mean,
yeah, I said he can do shit. There's good shit and bad shit. It's Kane.
No, so
I like Kane,
GAM
but I don't like that.
GAM has one of the best top laners, one of the best junglers, one of the best mid laners, one of the best supports. Their AD carry is...
𝘁cie has been shit.
Slay.
Oh,
but Slay also has been super great.
Why did I say
been fine.
issue has been shit, but he's not on GAM.
Slay has been shit.
Ignore me.
And it's like the only real issue with Tier1 is they keep picking him fucking garbage. He has played so much J.C.E, and I don't fucking know why.
He is good on the J.C.E. Is that the only issue? I'm really not sure that's the only issue.
I think Tier1's had a massive drop in. I don't think it's all.
If you look at his late game positioning.
Match up the last split, right?
Yeah, that's fair. But look at where he goes on the map. He just doesn't care. In my opinion, Tier1 doesn't care. Like if you look at the games against %, he in the late game where they are behind, he just overextends in the bot lane for absolutely no reason. He has no vision. He has nothing to achieve there. He's just there to pick up minions. He dies for no reason. Laughs. He pops off on camera. You can see him go wild. I'm not sure what his reaction was there, but he just overextends, dies, and his team loses an inhibitor for no reason whatsoever. I think he's tilted. I think he doesn't want to play. I really don't see the Tier1.
Didn't he?
Yeah. I really don't feel like Tier1 really wants to play, because what he does on late game is not... He does not try to win the game most of the time.
But if you look at the games he's played, when he's picked a champion that, we'd think of Tier1, when he plays J.C.E, when he plays Sylas, he actually performs really well. His Sylas games against but
his mechanics and his individual performance is great still.
Yeah, and he's being picked 𝘁cie, and he's being picked J.C.E like blind 90% of the time. And it's like you should just be giving him more priority so he can be getting things.
He should be getting the counter pick pretty much every fucking game.
Pretty much, because the one time they got him Sylas, right?
Yeah,
and
𝘁cie doesn't need the
fuck off on Sylas. Yeah, 𝘁cie is just going to win you the fucking lane.
Yeah,
pretty much no matter what. He might lose lane if it's a norm, but...
Yeah, I can play whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't matter. Give Tier1 the counter pick.
He's played J.C.E, 𝘁cie, Twisted Fate, and Sylas. J.C.E and Sylas, really good games. 𝘁cie, one fucking garbage game, one okay game. And Twisted Fate,
he's actually behind in CS on average, interestingly enough.
Barely.
Barely. Yeah, fair. But last season he was
up in
ahead
gold.
20. He was
Still
ahead
up in gold.
20 CS on average in the last split, though. So that's a big change.
The thing is that I think 𝘀𝗀, the reason I have them ranked above the Buffalo, and again, this is like I'm not looking forward. I'm looking at the 2 weeks that we've seen, right, and making predictions based off that. I would not be surprised if I put the Buffalo above 𝘀𝗀 next week, and I would not be surprised if I put Buffalo above 𝘀𝗀 every week until the end of the split. But at the moment, you have a situation where the Buffalo have one player that can actually carry a game. 𝘁𝗀. 𝘀𝗀
comes back
have 3.
But they don't have a team.
They don't, but they've at least got 3 paths to victory. They don't have a fucking team. Fair. But at the moment, they can just blow people's backs out in the first 15 minutes, and then they're 8k ahead, and 𝘀𝗀 and 𝘀𝗏 just go, okay,
that's a very good point.
We just walk to the fucking Nexus now.
I think I'm also just...
That will stop working, but at the start of the split, it works.
I think I'm also just very biased against 𝘀𝗀, because I feel like they are actually dragging down the region when it comes to development with their playstyle. I love to see that they actually lose games now where they just try to go solo queue style, try to go skirmish, and the enemy team just knows to back off, to fall behind 2k gold. Who cares? Percent played a very, very good game against 𝘀𝗀 where they didn't care about 𝘀𝗀's early game lead. Percent just seeded objectives here and there, they try to farm up, and then 2k gold behind 20 minutes, team fight, easy win, because 𝘀𝗀 is not a team. And I love to see that. I'm so tilted, also always watching this team just go solo queue style and dominate the league, so I'm super happy to see them fail. So maybe that's why I rank them lower, because I like early game styles. Yeah, I like early game styles, but
I'm always happy to see a lot of teams go.
I just don't like when teams don't improve on their macro at all. They don't have any macro. They just win off lanes.
It feels to me, obviously 𝘀𝗀 had like the organizational restructure because 𝘁𝗀 left, and it feels like you may as well have sold the org. Like, you may as well have sold the fucking slot, because there is nothing worth salvaging.
It's a whole new org. Yeah.
Like, there is nothing worth fucking salvaging except a couple of players. Because if they have coaching staff, they are stealing paychecks. 𝘁𝗀 is stealing paychecks because he doesn't give a shit. He's still good. Like, he's mechanically fantastic. He should be on a VCS team, but he should be on a VCS. He should be winning the VCS. 𝘁𝗀 should be winning the VCS, but to do that, he has to be on a team that he actually gives a fuck about. Because I don't think he gives a fuck about. Which sucks, because I'd say my favorite player in the VCS is on. I fucking love 𝘀𝗏.
Yeah.
I fucking love 𝘀𝗏.
That's super sad to see.
Free my boy.
There's so much potential in the players, and they never, like, the team never grows.
𝘀𝗏 to Secret, please. 𝘀𝗏 to Team Secret. Imagine that fucking team.
Imagine that.
Imagine that fucking team.
If you just take apart 𝘀𝗀,
I want him to go to Secret.
Move pieces around.
I want him to go to Secret.
𝘀𝗏 on Secret, 𝘁𝑚𝑖 on percent, Slay on percent.
Yeah, Slay goes to percent. Like, you could make a lot of good teams a lot better by just dissecting the corpse of 𝘀𝗀, because at the moment I think it is rotting in the stable. But at the moment, people still think it's a thoroughbred, and every now and then it runs like that. It'll fall off over the season. People will work it out. People will, like, teams that have coaching styles will look at it and go, oh, so they go balls to the wall for 15 minutes and then go, are we 10k gold up? Yes. Okay, cool, we win. Are we 10k gold up? No. Fuck. Guess we lose.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ugh, man, this team is annoying to me. But who is your 5th place?
𝘀𝗏. I have Buffalo 5th. Because right after
that makes sense.
And
okay, we talked about Buffalo.
Because that's like a flip.
Yeah. And then 6th is 𝘀𝗏.
Yeah.
Purely because that's where 𝘀𝗏 has to go. Because I think the bottom two are really...
absolutely.
And 𝘀𝗏 kind of did the same thing last split, where they kind of fucking ran it down the first week.
I think it was very different. Then it was bad drafts.
Yeah, last split was mainly bad drafts there. This split was mainly bad play.
And then, but there was a turnaround. And
that's true.
And I think that's because Flash has a good coaching staff where they're able to go, where, they're able to have a bad week 1 and they're immediately able to go, that's a problem, fix that shit.
We have a very important match coming up, Flash against EVOS, the match of the week.
With an A.
With an A, for sure. If Flash wins that against EVOS, which definitely is likely right now after their performance last week, I feel like this might almost be it for EVOS. 0-4? 0-4 is very hard to come back from, especially with the strength of the top teams.
We were talking about this before we went live. EVOS, again, we'll talk about them when we get there. They will bounce back. EVOS is not going to finish 8th, I don't think. But you're already 0-3. There are not that many series in the VCS, and evidently, and we'll get there when we get there, EVOS is not the team we thought they were going to be. And yeah, we live in a world where they might not make it. It's very bad. And if they lose against Flash, looking even more likely. Let's talk about Flash. We'll come to EVOS later. I think 𝘀cie is just being exposed as a guy that wanted to retire last year. He wanted to get out and they keep pulling him back in.
And
I mean, maybe Yoshino's ready in a few weeks, hopefully.
But then you've got to have the thing is Yoshino will come back, and that's an immediate mechanical upgrade, but Yoshino will be rusty. He hasn't had a stage game in 4 or 5 months now.
3-4 months? Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. It's been a long time. He hasn't had a stage game. Particularly a stage game, it's been even longer because of Corona, right? Hasn't been on stage in a fucking long time.
True.
You've got to rebuild all your synergy. You've got to get over your nerves, your rust and all that. I don't think this is going to be much of a split for Flash. I think this is going to be one of those, you won the split and then did fucking nothing.
I think what they really need, if Yoshino comes back, you're not looking to win the regular season. And you'll have playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So I think, you're definitely looking for that. If Yoshino comes back, full respect to 𝘀cie. He kind of got fucked.
Not really his fault, but
it's not his fault. But he's not up to it. He knows. As far as we know, he knows he's not up to it, and he's just doing it. He's just taking he's just taking the L, right? So if Yoshino can come back, if fucking this palette, this fucking move for palette.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to palette.
That needs to fucking pay off somehow. And if they have another strong player to play around, maybe it does.
We finally saw something there. We finally saw a little bit of promise, right? The bot lane and the games against 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀, admittedly not the strongest bot lane to face, right? Style Hin is really not that big of a deal. But finally, the bot lane actually won and applied pressure. That was the biggest problem in their losses. The bot lane just wasn't a factor. The 2 star players of the team, or 2 of the biggest stars on the team, Slater and 𝘁, just handshake lane and didn't ever do anything in team fights. So that's a big step up. I hope they can once again show us a little bit more there. I feel against EVOS's bot lane might be a little bit difficult because they are the strongest part of EVOS right now. But Flash to me goes into the same category as 𝘀 and Cerberus, as the team fight focused teams. Not so much around early game or stuff like that.
Nearly as decisive.
Yeah, no, they are.
They try and play the Cerberus style, but they don't really know what makes it good.
Yeah.
And Flash has had a better early game than those 2 teams.
That's
usually.
True.
But
they have very strong individual players, though.
Shot calling is kind of fucking whack.
And that's the one thing they wanted to improve with the 𝘁 move. So I'm still super weirded out by this one. I know everyone is in love with 𝘁, but I really don't understand why CBL was kicked for 𝘁. That is such a strange move to me.
Yeah, I think 𝘁's been really bad. I don't think that's unfair. I mean, he is having games where he's had 4 or 5 deaths on Yuumi. Like, that's not fucking forgivable.
Yeah,
like, how the fuck are you dying that much on Yuumi? You can't do that shit. I think they picked up 𝘁𝗋. I'm going to say it. I'm going to flame our community because I assume our community somewhat reflects the wider VCS community. They put way too much fucking stock in names and history. Because CBL does not have the legacy that 𝘁𝗋 has. Fine. But, the end of last split, you tell me, I can have CBL or I can have 𝘁𝗋? I'm never picking fucking 𝘁𝗋. I'm taking CBL every goddamn day, and Flash didn't do that.
It's a strange move.
Yeah.
I feel like the most important player for Flash, if they want to have a resurgence, is actually 𝘂ci. He has come in as the carry jungler in the most carry-oriented jungler, together maybe with DNK, who has also prioritized carry junglers very heavily. But yeah, 𝘂ci, they try to play around him. They almost always blind pick top lane with a strong matchup like Renekton. Then mid lane is most of the time facilitating Mage or Orianna just to push in mid lane, mid wave. And then, 𝘂ci runs around and tries to collect all the camps he can. So I feel like the most important player, if Flash is to get top 4, is probably 𝘂ci. Even though Slater is the star of the team, I feel like you can only get so far with only one performing player.
Are we just writing Yijin off? I think Yijin is still a better player than... I think Yijin, in the games he has played, has been better than 𝘂ci. I think 𝘂ci's actually been... I think 𝘂ci's been shit individually. I will go so far as to say he's been shit.
I think the one game 𝘂ci was with Null was shit. Every other one, I think he's been on par or with...
You gotta remember as well, like, Panda's saying it in chat.
Because Yijin was fucking garbage.
Yijin was sick last week. Like,
interesting.
They didn't play... I remember that got mentioned a few days ago. 𝘂ci didn't get played just because... Like, I don't mind them giving 𝘂ci runs. I really don't. He is a young kid. He's got potential. I don't think he's stage ready yet. If you look at the games, they're doing the shit where they're like, this is a clash strat. Like, this is
they're doing C9 style.
Where you just get your jungler really, really far ahead.
Yeah, true.
And 𝘂ci is not doing that. Like, 𝘂ci is doing his part in that, but it's not like 𝘂ci is just fucking jungle diffing everyone. No, it's the whole team is getting 𝘂ci ahead.
Is putting him on Yi.
And then 𝘂ci does nothing with it because he doesn't know what to do once the, like, rehearsed, you're looking at a script and saying, 𝘂ci enters bush right. Once that's gone, I
wouldn't actually put that too much on 𝘂ci, though. I wouldn't flame him for that, mostly.
I'm not flaming him. He's just not ready. He's young. Give him runs. I'm happy. Give him runs. Let him split time with Yijin. But Yijin's still your main jungler.
I actually feel like 𝘂ci's early game has been one of the best when it comes to junglers in the league. Individually, he is...
I disagree.
It hasn't translated to anything. That's true. I agree. Their coordination with jungle in the mid game is horrible.
But look at the resources they put into him. He's only getting ahead because the whole team's playing around him.
I agree. But he's still playing the early game well. He has good mechanics, especially when it comes to early skirmishes, and he's able to get advantages, admittedly, with a lot of help. Yeah, I agree. But this is a valid strategy coming in.
Sure.
It kind of reminds me of the first time C9 tried to play 𝘀𝗏, where everyone was just trying to get him into a position where his aggression will not backfire. So this is a good strategy to have a solo queue prodigy jungler come in and just play through him. But the problem is his mid game or the coordination with him in the mid game is not there.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Yeah. Like, it's not his fault. I mean, the mid-game stuff is absolutely his fault. I just think people are reading into the leads he gets and going like, oh, he's fucking new Levi, whatever. Like, fuck off. Yeah. He's not even better than Yijin yet. Yijin hasn't been great in the games he's played. I'll fully admit that. He's been pretty bad. But I still think Yijin's better just because... You know, he can play 2 champions as well. He doesn't have to play Graves.
We need to see more.
Yeah, give 𝘂ci a few more runs. That's fine. Play him. Like, let me put it this way. Flash has 7 players. 6 of them are allowed on the Rift. Nor's not allowed on the Rift. He's not allowed.
Unless 𝘁𝗏𝗁 cuts his hand off or something.
Unless 𝘁𝗏𝗁 has a stroke backstage. If he cuts his hand off, get a little hook and he'll still be better. If he's physically incapacitated, Nor's allowed. But other than that, we're playing 𝘁𝗏𝗁. But we done with Flash, or do we have more points?
I think so, yeah.
Right,
I think Flash will rise, honestly. But...
So moving swiftly on, I think we all have OPG 7th.
Yep.
I don't have a huge amount to say about OPG. I think,
but it's close. It actually is very close, in my opinion, between 7th and 8th.
I think EVOS.
I think we've seen
it.
They are.
Yeah.
They have shown more individually.
I think we've seen what OPG can do in their game against Buffalo, and even their game they won against 𝘀𝗏𝗃. They do have, in theory, the potential to be an upper tier team. Not probably not a winner.
Upper mid, maybe.
They have potential. Yeah, upper mid. So maybe like 3rd, 4th, at both best. But they're obviously not likely going to get to that with. 𝘁𝗏𝗃 is not an amazing jungler. PhD...
No one is amazing on that team. That is the problem. That is the big problem.
Rein it the fuck in.
One.
Xin.
Beautiful player on that team. Yeah.
Xin.
Okay, fair enough.
Xin is really fucking good.
Xin is good, yeah.
Xin is good.
But
then I think
PhD.
I mean, he's brand new.
I mean, I can't believe that last week, during the games last weekend, people in our community were saying PhD is a good player.
Yeah, he is.
PhD
he really
is fucking terrible.
Every day, if you choose between PhD and 𝗀, which of the two?
𝗀.
I knew it.
𝗀 doesn't do anything, but at least he doesn't do anything. PhD wins the enemy team the game.
See, no,
PhD is me in the VCS.
PhD has one game every so often where you're like, oh, hang on, this guy's actually good. Then the next 2 games, what the fuck was I thinking?
No. What happens is he's like a guy at a nightclub who goes out on the dance floor and he's just a spastic. Just all throwing his arms and shit. But he trips once and it kind of does a cool little shoulder spin on the ground. And I was like, fuck, that was awesome. And then he gets back up and keeps doing what he was doing, and you're like, okay, no, he's actually just an idiot.
Just
That's it. That's what it is. He didn't actually play well. He tripped and accidentally got a solo kill.
I feel like he's a very good solo queue player.
Probably, but he's not a good professional player. He's a fucking terrible professional.
Yeah. He still has the same rookie mistakes he had last season, where almost every game he dies at least once for just needlessly over pushing his lane. It's so easy to gank him in the early game.
He's the worst player in the league. Second worst. Second worst.
Maybe.
Ooh.
One of for sure.
I know where you're going with that one.
But it's almost every game you see him die early on to a gank because he just pays no attention to map movement. He has no idea where the enemy jungler is. He just over pushes. He's actually a very good laner. It's so weird because in isolation, he's a very good laner. Yeah. He got a solo kill into DR1. He outplayed him big time there, and he pushed in the lane all the time, had pressure, and then died.
You remember that solo
and then died again.
He actually won for one.
No. I'm talking about the Lucian into Jay's solo kill, where he just straight up got the solo kill there. There was another one where DR1 took the fight and they traded 1-for-1. That's correct. Yeah, I think so.
But again,
OPG,
his mechanics are fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like he doesn't have a mini-map, and he's not in comms. And then every now and even then, sometimes his mechanics are shit.
Yeah, sometimes he just messes up, yeah. He's a very, very inconsistent player.
Bad.
But OPG as a whole, I feel like is the quintessential, well-coached bottom of the table team. Because they are not FTV. They are not a bad team.
They want to win at least.
No, they actually have very, let's not say very, but they have good macro when it comes to objectives, when it comes to setting up fights. They are actually they have a very clear plan. They can be dangerous. I think the best characterization of them is you never want to play OPG because it's they are not a good team, but they also are not bad enough that you can overlook them. They actually have very nice pre-planned strategies. They know how to accelerate. But once they get a lead, someone has to hand them a lead. But once they get the lead, they actually know how to run with it. They know how to close games. They can be very explosive. They are just dangerous. But I feel like every single player, apart from Xin and maybe Vin to a lesser degree, is just not
Vin
at the level of his
but
peers.
He's a brand new player. So.
Yeah.
But you have one of the worst mid laners. You have, I would say, the worst jungler once Sorn gets out of his slump. You have a very, very bad ADC, by far the worst ADC of the league, in my opinion. Even Style has looked better.
I actually
Vit
don't
I
even...
think Style's
Who
worse
the
at the
fuck
moment.
is their ADC?
Vit.
Vit. Oh yeah, Vit sucks ass. It's really...
Yeah,
I
Vit
think
was
Style's
so
worse than
bad.
Vid at the moment.
Is he? Okay, maybe it's close between the
I
two,
think
right?
Style's worse than Vid.
It's close between the two, though.
Maybe it's close.
And yeah, where is your carry
It's not
coming
great,
from?
but
You
it's-
can't. Yeah, you can't carry every game from support
wait,
position.
what do you mean? Vit's not their ADC. PHT picks ADC every game.
True. That's not making it better, though.
Yeah.
Oh man, this team is.
OPG is the novice swordsman.
I like that they run the league, but I don't think anyone can expect them to do
They
anything.
took Drunken Wuju way too serious.
They're the novice swordsman. The best swordsman fears them because he doesn't know what the fuck they're gonna do.
Yeah, I agree. I will also point out that we are talking about the bottom tier teams. There are no FTVs in this league.
Yeah, they are way better than our other bottom tier teams last 2 seasons.
They are
by
super
far.
They are very clearly super motivated. They're just not very good at the moment. They are scary. They can take scalps, but yeah, like it's someone in chat saying it's going to be really hard for anyone to beat OPG in relegations.
Indeed.
Based on the standard of the relegations we've seen, OPG will shit stomp anyone.
I agree.
They are not leaving the VCS unless something ridiculous happens.
Yeah, I feel like their floor is pretty high, but their ceiling is not very much higher than their floor. So they've built a very strange house for themselves.
Yeah, it's like those places in like Japan, or is it China? I don't remember, where you pay like not very much money. You get a little tube.
Capsule.
You get a little tube to sleep in.
Yeah.
That's their floor and their ceiling. It's like a little tube.
Capsule hotel.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
And then, shall we move on to the elephant in the room?
Oh no.
So, like, I just want to kind of like, so I've been a little bit out of sorts in the last few days, so I've let my house get a bit dirty. I was doing some cleaning up, getting some dishes out of my office and stuff. Picked up a couple plates that I've let pile up, went to the sink and went to put the plates in. I was like, what the why can't I get the plates in the sink? Why can't I get them in? It's so weird. And then I pushed the bubbles aside from the soap, and there was an Asian man in the sink. And I said, what are you doing here? Who are you? And he looked up and said, don't you recognize me? I'm 𝘀𝘀cie. Wash me. I'm washed up. Wash me every day. I'm washed up. I'm a bad top laner.
Of course, you didn't understand any of that.
Of course, he was speaking Vietnamese and I just called the police.
But
he tried to punch me and missed because he can't team fight anymore.
Oof.
I don't know.
Oh man.
I mean, yeah,
I don't know what
𝘀𝘀cie
happened.
is garbage. 𝘀𝘀cie is bad. He's the worst top laner in the league.
Yeah, it's
And it's not.
kinda fucked up.
He's
It's
terrible.
not helping that Sorn also is looking like the worst jungler of the league.
Yep.
It's also not helping that they are really disconnected when it comes to drafting, where the one composition that is really like the one composition you have to look at and see all the EVOS problems is Pantheon, Elise top lane jungle, and then you go Azir, Aphelios in mid and ADC. Like, what the fuck is that? That was such a weird composition where you have, I guess, 2 late game insurance policies that have no pressure in lane though. The only thing you do
the idea of that is to have a bridge sort of thing. Like you bridge the early game with the pressure from Pantheon Elise. But the problem with that is it's Pantheon top lane, so it's kind of not going anywhere. You're just kind of like, yeah, we're pushing top.
You saw in the game, if it doesn't get kills, you actually don't do anything with anyone. It's so bad.
A 1.7 KDA. A 1.7 KDA, which is fucking terrible.
He's 0-3 on his team as well, so
it's still a fucking terrible KDA. Don't justify it. He is, but so you might think, oh, is there like Ornn games? You know, just like tanks? No. Renekton, Volibear, who is giga broken, Fiora, Aatrox, Pantheon, Jace. Yeah, just pick carries and do nothing. We all saw in the offseason, holy shit, Zeros has gone to EVOS. That was the one hole in this team. Holy shit, let's go. He made the team worse somehow. He's the worst on the team.
I think a big part of it isn't so much his play, why they're so much worse.
It's also Sorn.
Well, it's also Sorn, but I think a big part of it is probably the voice he brings. So it's fucking Zeros. You're not gonna you're not gonna discredit the guy. You're not gonna be like, hey Zeros, just sit there and and we're gonna ignore everything. We're gonna listen to fucking Zeros, right? It's fucking Zeros. If you have Faker or whatever on your team, you're gonna listen to the cunt. But it's thrown off whatever shot calling they had last split. So is it too many voices, too many cooks fucking the whole thing up? I mean, Sorn obviously slumping, Zeros obviously not doing great. Is it just a culture thing, which means they don't want to play as well?
I feel like Zeros' style is not really the greatest right now. We see a lot of very successful, very good top laners, but a lot of them play a very quiet early game. Even 𝘀cie and 𝘁_mid, who are very good laners, better than YT and LL for sure, most of the time get their advantages 1v1. They don't really require a lot of jungle attention. While Zeros is still trying to play hard top lane style, where the jungler is just camping top lane. It is not working. They try to dive almost every single game, and almost always they fail something about the dive. I said this on broadcast, I think, last week, where I made the comparison between Flash and EVOS, and was like, Flash is actually looking fine individually, but their team play is off, while EVOS is looking fine in terms of team aspects and plays, but they are really bad individually, and their mechanical execution is just super bad right now. I feel that's still true. Even though they looked okay in the game against Cerberus, of course, you don't get to a 10k gold lead without good mechanical plays. But still, I feel like most of the time their execution is what costs them more than their actual team play and their macro mistakes, which they definitely still do, of course. But
yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a bright spot for EVOS. OPG has bright spots, right? There are glimmers on the horizon. Where are your glimmers for EVOS? Sorn returning to form, which is not a guarantee.
You'd say in theory, yeah, the return to form, and
but that's not a guarantee,
their
right?
Play style and
like
it absolutely is not.
I mean, no, it's not. But
particularly Sorn's style. Think about last split where Sorn really impressed us was on facilitating, enabling junglers. It wasn't on the carry jungle. We're in a carry jungle now.
But it seems like he has lost a little bit of his carry form.
In theory, that's good for Sorn.
Yeah.
But it's not like he can just jump on the Jarvan, which he played really well last split, but he's also a brain-dead champion, and do fine. No, like, what? You think Sorn in this form is going to play fucking Graves? I think you'd quit the cast. I think we'd have to get Vinnie to do color cast, because you'd leave.
Yeah, but the thing is with... I think that's the problem. They're trying to slave to meta, and meta is good if you're good. Meta is the best you can play if you can play the meta. If you can't play your own fucking style, Jarvan isn't a fucking bad pick at all. We've seen Jarvan in other leagues and stuff.
Yeah,
usually it's after a number of jungle bans, but if that's what someone has to play those fucking champs. Play your Olaf, play your whatever.
I mean, Olaf is a good champion. I can play Olaf. Hell yeah.
Like, play your style.
He's really not an Olaf player, though.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's just an example.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, the thing is, you play what you can up until the point it can't get you anymore. Then you learn the meta.
I think the problem at the moment
Then
though,
you need
is that
meta.
if you talked to EVOS and said, what do you want to play? Part of it is put 𝘂𝗧 on carries. And okay, fine. Do that.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
fine.
he gets his shit pushed in by 𝘁𝗏. And he gets his shit pushed in by Husband. And then he's picked a Renekton, he's 0-3 in lane, and what the fuck does he do?
Yeah. Not much, that's for sure.
Like, at this point, I can guarantee, and fair enough, like, 𝘂𝗧 has a lot of reputation. He is, you know, one of the most successful players ever in the VCS, one of the best players ever in the VCS. Is the coaching staff strong enough to sit there and go, sorry, mate, if you play well, I won't pick you on next game. But you're playing like shit, so you're playing a tank.
No.
You don't get to play Renekton when you just randomly die 1v1.
Or you just sub in
he's
TH for a
fucking
game.
himself up.
Yeah.
And yeah.
TH
and
only can
he's-
play 2 champions, but it's better than no champion for 𝘂𝗧 right now. So.
And I mean,
Hey,
𝘂𝗧
Mordekaiser is a great
𝘂𝗧
pick against
has
Wukong.
that. 𝘂𝗧 has that mindset, right? He has that I want to carry mindset, which really
Can be
fucked him in
great.
that VolleyBear game, right? Which can be great, but it fucked him in the VolleyBear game because he went for a Triforce first because he's like, I'm going to carry. I'm fucking 𝘂𝗧. But he should have just rushed fucking armor. He should have just rushed a
Yeah, he should have just
Thornmail.
gone full.
or an
full
adaptive helm. I think it
full
was.
Yeah, I think it was adaptive
was
helm because he was
against,
against Mordekaiser or something. It was against something.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's
I'll say
so-
I'll give EVOS one more chance to redeem themselves. They play 2 games next week against Flash and OPG, so our 6th and 7th place team. So
Yep.
if they go 2-0 there, they are suddenly back in business, right? They
Yeah, and of course there is there is one like sort of excuse, and it's I don't want to like I'm not trying to be like lighthearted or anything. Like it's a pretty legitimate excuse. Their coach's father died. Like that is going to fuck your practice schedule. Like that is a very obviously very sad, and rest in peace. I hope he's dealing with it. But that's going to fuck your practice schedule. Your coach is basically going to be out of commission for at least a week because he's just going to be an emotional wreck. Which, again, completely fair. Not giving him shit.
And
they
did play 3 of the top teams, right?
So like, okay, like if they come back and they 2-0 this week, sure, maybe they're back on track, but you can't put them anywhere but 8th after what we've seen.
Yeah, I agree.
So, with that, that's our power rankings. We don't 100% agree, but I think we've discussed each team. We have them in, you know, similar tiers, though, to use Yulwei's words before the show went live, tier lists are for cowards. So we went for real lists. So, the other thing we were going to talk, and we'll have to whip through it a little bit because we've already been going for over an hour. Who's best player in each role? Who's best player in each role? Do you want to? Do you want me to go first because I'm the least analytical, and you guys can tell me where I'm dumb?
Yeah, sure.
So
give us your team.
I have Husband, 𝘂𝗏, 𝘂𝗏, Artemis, 𝘁𝗏.
A lot of Cerberus there, understandably.
For a reason.
Yeah, understandably.
It's a lot of Cerberus.
I will not hear an argument against Artemis. Because if either of you have anyone else in ADC, you are inting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where do your lists differ from mine?
Pretty much every other role.
Interesting. Okay.
So
top, I assume.
I guess I'll read mine then.
I assume you have 𝘁𝗏.
𝘁𝗏, DNK, Artifact, Artemis, Hin.
Okay.
Hin.
I think Hin's been fucking killing it.
I do. I think he's been good. He was my second.
Yeah. Artifact, even in their loss, he fucking showed up huge. He's one of my front runners for player, just best player. He's been killing it. DNK, he's been smashing as well. 𝘁𝗃's been good, but DNK fucking. I mean, it's hard to say he's been solo carrying because Artifact and Coded and all that have been doing. But he's made Graves look. He's really, really showing the power of the Graves pick. And granted, he's really only played the Graves pick, but he's really shown the power of that pick. I don't know. I don't really know how to say it, but it's more a gut feeling.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
What have you got your way?
You have an interesting list, Vinny. I didn't know what.
What have you got your way?
You really don't agree with me, do you?
The top lane. Top lane is between 𝘁cie and 𝘁.
I would pick. What is this between?
Yes,
what is this between nonsense?
Okay. I take 𝘁cie, but it's super close. Okay. I can see arguments for 𝘁, but I would take 𝘁cie. He's a little bit more well-rounded for me. I think 𝘁 is slightly better mechanically, but I feel like 𝘁cie is a little bit better when it comes to just pure laning and knowing when to strike.
That's fair.
I think 𝘁's also slightly limited, and like on his champions he's fucking amazing, but when he's off those champions he's not as good as like 𝘁cie is off 𝘁cie champions, shall we say?
Fair enough.
So jungle, I'm really not sure. It kind of depends of if you want to make a functioning team or just go by best player in each role. Because I feel like if I had to make a team where I can't pick just Cerberus, I'd probably still go 𝘁 because he seems to be a very nice, good facilitating jungler. If I have to take the best jungler so far, it's so hard to say.
I went for best in role. I wasn't thinking how they play with each other.
I think it's still 𝘁 for me because he has shown more diversity. I think DNK, he's looking like by far the best Graves player, but he's basically only shown us Graves, so I want to see more champs. DNK could be the best jungler right now. I'm not sure he could be, but I need to see one or two more champs. So I think for now 𝘁. Mid lane is something I have absolutely no idea, honestly. Mid lane is so hard. You could make arguments for Yado. You could make arguments for Artifact. Yeah. Artifact has one more point than Yado, I think.
I honestly don't think Yado's actually up there.
Really?
I think he works really well in his team, but I think he's like maybe fourth.
That's fine.
I think he's maybe like fourth best individually.
Yeah, I feel like he's
as an individual player.
It's true. I mean, he is competing with PHT, who definitely has the biggest impact on who wins the game.
That's true.
Yeah.
He doesn't help his team, but he has the biggest impact on who wins the team.
But more seriously, it's like Artifact, DO1. Even has DO1's about the same level as Yado. 𝘁cie.
Of course, 𝘁cie comes up here.
I mean, it's pretty fair.
I mean, as I said, I think Artifact's been the best mid laner, but I think 𝘁cie's been better than Yado.
Yeah, I think I'll agree.
Yado had that one really impressive TF game. The rest of his games, he's been.
That one game is why I picked Yado. Just to be clear, that one TF game is just lodged in the front of my brain as like, this is the best performance in the VCS ever.
Artifact is quite bad when it comes to stats. If you look at his CSD, it's not very impressive. He plays some very strong laners, so I'm not sure if I can give it to Artifact. I feel like he gets.
But I feel he's had so much more impact outside the lane. Like, I mean, obviously, their first match against Cerberus, he had that fucking quadra-kill highlight play. Triple kill highlight play.
I think I will actually go with year one. Even though it contradicts a little bit of what I've said earlier against about 𝘁, I feel like individually he's still playing very strongly.
Alright, well, let's crack on with the bot lane, because, again, we're
Artemis Run OP. I have the same as you. It's Cerberus.
It's Artemis Run OP.
Artemis and Run OP for me, yeah.
You had Hin, Vinny. I mean, Hin's been good. Yeah. Hin's been great. I think he's probably the second best.
Yeah.
But
I think Run OP is good. I think I feel slightly more impressed with him because he's been putting out quite a lot with less. Because I mean, Run OP is next to Artemis, and so sort of they kind of drain from each other. But
what about
Hin's next to fucking Style?
Yeah, Xin has been
Zin's
like probably the third or fourth best support in the league, which is
That's
saying
by far the most MVP points for support for us, by the way.
Yeah, because look at his team, right?
But his team's
no one else on his team is stealing those MVP points.
Yeah, like Hen's gonna have some things stolen by 𝗀𝗃 and occasionally Froggy. Ron OP doesn't have a fucking chance.
Ron OP is not getting any MVP points. Good player, but he's not getting any MVP points. Not on that team.
So
I also feel like CBL has finally started to get better on Team Secret. He's finally feeling. So I feel like CBL in a few weeks will be up there.
So
right now, not quite, but in a few weeks, I think.
We were talking before we went live, and again, don't want to get super bogged down on this because we've run long a bit. But you were saying that you think top lane was the most stacked role. I actually think support is ridiculously stacked at the moment.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it's traditionally been a really weak role in the VCS, but fuck, there are some good supports this split.
I mean, yeah, you're kind of looking at it and saying 𝘀𝗏𝗏 is our worst support.
Yeah, like 𝘀𝗏𝗏 is one of the worst supports in the league. Like, I mean, he's not the worst. 𝘚cie exists. It's okay.
I mean,
it's okay, 𝘀𝗏𝗏. It's okay, 𝘀𝗏𝗏. You'll have to play a lot worse. From what we've seen,
𝘚cia's been doing better than 𝘀𝗏𝗏.
I would not go that far.
He's been way better than expected, though.
He has been way much better than expected.
I think 𝘚cia's been better than 𝘀𝗏𝗏 so far.
Fair enough.
He had one really shocking game, but 𝘀𝗏𝗏 had like three really had 2 series of really shocking games.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's very. If you look at the support pool, there isn't really a weak link anywhere. Ron OP playing great, very good synergy with Artemis. B still one of the best players on EVOS, even though EVOS is a shit show. 𝘀𝗏 might actually be the worst support if you think about it. He has made some very bad decisions in lane, in my opinion. He has looked worse than expected. So 𝘀𝗏 is not really at his best form right now. Xin is looking super impressive. CBL is finally getting better at Team Secret. 𝘀𝗏𝗏, Hin much better than last season, and 𝘚cie also much better than expected. So yeah, I agree. Support is super stacked. Support actually looks like one of the best positions right now, especially with the junglers faltering left and right. Look at DK, look at Yijin, look at Meliodas, for fuck's sake, and Zorn.
Yeah, and I mean mid and ADC are kind of have like two or three players that are really dragging it down, aren't they?
Yeah. Look, ADC is actually a strong position as well. We have 2 pretty bad ADCs that are dragging it down.
Yeah.
So, boys, do you have any closing statements? Anything
last type match for the next week?
I haven't even looked. Totally honest.
There are quite
next week there are some very, very cool games coming up.
Don't we have 𝘀𝗏𝗏 versus 𝘁𝗏𝗏 next week?
Yeah, we have 𝘀𝗏𝗏 𝘁𝗏𝗏 on Friday.
Hype. That's super.
It's so good.
I think the top lane matchups are going to be interesting.
Saturday's matches, both are very cool as well, in my opinion. % against Team Secret. Can % prove themselves as a good team?
That's a really
cool one.
Have we picked?
And then EVOS against Flash. Whoever loses is in really, really bad position.
Yeah.
So EVOS.
Probably.
I need my sync
really
back.
excited.
Seriously, I have plates everywhere. Bring in TH.
The top lanes.
I need to be able to wash my dishes. I can't have Zeros in my sink.
Yeah, the top lanes next week are great. We have 𝘁𝗏𝗏, 𝗀𝗃𝗏, obviously. We might get to see Stark roll Zeros in lane. And we might get... get
the most incompetent top lane. Like, imagine... I can genuinely see a scenario where they both pick carries. I can see, like, Renekton, like a Renekton Aatrox. I guess Aatrox is
VolleyBear. Renekton VolleyBear.
Yeah, Renekton VolleyBear, and it's just the biggest, just
a shit show. I'm also interested in 𝘀𝗏 Secret, because the idea of, like, 𝘀𝗏's living and dying by YT at the moment on his performance, and 𝘀𝗏 hasn't lost a game yet, so...
Yeah, and 𝘀𝗏 with his cool counter fix, maybe he can... come in with Jax again, or maybe a Fiora into Malphite or something.
Yeah, But are we gonna? We're just gonna get like Jack's first mouth fight. Let's go.
But yeah, I think we've got a lot of good games. Keep your eyes on the VCS English social media. We'll be giving you some previews and match of the week, that kind of thing. Our team of trained rabbits is working very hard behind the scenes, tapping away. I don't know why I called them rabbits. I was going for a different animal and got lost. Trained monkeys, maybe. That's me. I'm the trained monkey.
Yeah.
But thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We hope my flame didn't turn you off too hard, but what's the point of not going all the way? Gotta go hard. Go hard or go home. Zeros, listen. Go home.
Never going to stop. Never going to stop.
Well, at least PHT is going hard, so he gets to stay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, oh shit! Can I change the phrase then? Can I just change it to go hard and go hard and PHT go home?
Can I just change it to go home?
No, but like, in all seriousness, we're flaming a little bit, but I think the VCS has been really good these last 2 weeks. It's been a lot of fun, and even the bottom tier teams are hungry to win. There's no FTVs, there's no QGs in our league anymore. This is a team where all 8 teams want to win and want to win every match they play. Great to watch. So make sure you do come and watch over on the VCS English channel. You'll also see above us, there is a donation goal. That is just to upgrade the VCS English PC. It'd be really good if you could contribute. Obviously, never feel pressured, but 720p is too bad. Not great in current year, but, you know, we'd like to do it in 1080, but money is also a thing. So we'll see you guys next week. And, of course, we will see you over on the VCS English channel this Friday. You guys have anything else to say, or are we happy to sign on off?
I'm good.
For this week, I think it's going to be the best week so far. Great games all around.
Absolutely. So good night, guys. Thanks for joining me once again. Yulwei and Vinnie. We'll see you guys on Friday.